What it do, Ski? We back again.
What is up, y'all? We are back. I am so excited for today's video.
Oh yeah, that's about to be interesting, right?
Yes, because it's such a deep topic for real.
Yep, it is. So on the website, they have an article. We'll pull it up. It's called "Is the Truth Important Anymore?"
Yes.
And we're gonna kind of dig into it because we were always told this is the what?
Truth.
It's the truth. Yep,
Yes.
It's ingrained. We even say, we joke about it. People who wake up will still say, "Oh, no, I was in the truth," and we gotta correct them, like, bro, you was in the cat, you was in the fox. There was nothing true about that. And they like, man, I hate that I still say that because it's that ingrained. But yeah, we'll go to the website and we'll read it first, and then we'll do our little breakdown per usual. So to the article, is truth important anymore? Here it reads: does it seem to you that the line between true and false has become blurred? People now seem to be persuaded more by emotion and personal belief, sounds familiar, than by truth and facts. For example, the word post-truth, which was coined to describe this situation, has surged in use in recent times. It well describes the entire world today, in which many believe that there is no such thing as truth. This viewpoint is not new. Some 2,000 years ago, Roman governor Pontius Pilate cynically asked Jesus, "What is truth?" Although Pilate did not wait for a response, his question was important. The Bible provides an answer that you may find satisfying, and it can help you find your way in this post-truth world.
This is such an interesting paragraph because I fall into that category very much. Like, I don't really believe that truth truly exists, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think that any of us will have all of the answers.
Never.
I don't know if we ever will. You know what I mean? I don't know. But anyway, let's finish off the article and then we'll get into our thoughts.
All right.
Okay, so does truth even exist? Yes. The Bible uses the word truth to refer to what is factual as well as to what is morally right. It teaches that Jehovah, God, is the source of absolute truth, calling him the God of truth. The Bible contains the truth from God, and it compares the truth to light, as it can guide us through all of the confusion in the world today.
It's very interesting.
Okay, so I actually had this question probably a couple months ago because I'm just like, you know, all of us, even me, I say it too. Like, the truth is da-da-da-da-da, and whatever my truth is, you know what I mean? But I'm like, is there really like a truth? You know what I mean? Like an ultimate, absolute truth. And I found the answer just very interesting. I ended up asking ChatGPT because, hello, AI is in the world today, okay? And AI came, like, ChatGPT gave me 7 different types of truths.
Which you would never know unless you look that up.
Yes,
yeah,
and we have to get into them because if you think about each one of the truths, almost all of them are subjective. It's insane. Yeah. Okay, so as you can see, I asked ChatGPT what kinds of truths are there. And even they say the concept of truth is explored in various disciplines. So one of the first types of truths are philosophical truths. So there's correspondence truths, which is a statement is true if it corresponds to reality. Then there's coherence truth, which a statement is true if it is logically consistent with a system of beliefs. And then there's pragmatic truths. That truth is based on what works in practice. For example, scientific theories that are useful even if not absolutely proven. So even just taking the first one, like a correspondence truth, which is an example that they use is the sky is blue. And we were talking about this beforehand, but like, okay, sure, that can be true for most of us, but if you have somebody who is like an artist and truly knows like all the different kinds of colors, and they look up at the sky and they say, actually, the sky isn't blue today, it's teal. Yep. You know, like they're both right, but this one has more knowledge on the colors. So for his perspective, it's teal. Yeah. Because that's what it goes with, right? Yeah. And then also if you have a colorblind person who cannot see blues, then the sky is gray to them.
And that's their truth.
And that's their truth. Yeah. Like, so when you break down like each one of these truths, almost all of them are literally up to perception. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
So we'll take the next set. So the second one is scientific truths, and this includes empirical truths, which are based on observation and experimentation. For example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. And then there's also provisional truths, which is a truth that may be revised with new evidence, which that is very interesting too. And it gives the example, Newtonian physics was updated by Einstein's relativity. So before, Newtonian physics was the truth, until somebody else found evidence of it being something different. Yep. And so the truth changes.
Exactly. It's like growing up, you always heard milk gives you strong bones.
Yeah.
Even if you had that on the test,
yes,
and you select that, what gives you strong bones? Milk, alcohol, or such and such. If you picked milk, that was the correct answer.
That was the answer.
But as you got older, now a lot of people are not messing with milk no more.
Yes.
Because we found out, this is actually not good for you.
Yeah.
That truth changed over time.
Yes. And it depends also on the person. Like, even when it comes to different diets and things, a lot of people will say eat right for your blood type, because what one way of eating may work for this person, it may not work for you. You know what I mean? Like, people will do the keto diet, pescatarian diet, vegan diet, vegetarian diet, and for them, that is their truth, because that's where their body operates at top performance, versus this person. It may make this person feel like crap to be on that type of a diet. You know what I mean? So so subjective.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into the next subheading, which are logical and mathematical truths. So this one includes analytical truths, which is true by definition, kind of like the word apostate. Yeah.
Facts.
But it's giving the example of all bachelors are unmarried. And then you have mathematical truths, which are proven through logical deduction. 2 + 2 = 4, math problems. I think for the most part, those two, you can't really argue with those kinds of truths. It's like, okay, if you argue with it, it just doesn't make sense to most people. But even when you take something like the analytical truth, people make up their own definition for things. Just like JWs took the word apostate and only consider people who are out of the Jehovah's Witness religion as apostates, when in reality, many of the people who changed over, say, from Catholic to Jehovah's Witness or something like that, Muslim to Jehovah's, whatever, they are also considered apostates.
You gotta point this out. If you were raised as Jehovah's Witness, the chances are you only heard the word apostate from these people.
Yes.
So it's not like you had something to compare it to.
Yes.
This was your truth. When the first time we were taught apostate, it's those evil people right there. So that is the truth to you. Those crazy people. Until you look at another definition, or the actual definition is different.
Yep. And really, so many of us don't think to look things up of the opposing side.
Never.
Even whenever it comes to religion, nobody, you're the black sheep if you try to look outside of religion. You're immediately judged by everybody around you, because to them, this is something that you don't question. You don't question God. You don't question religion. But why don't you question it? Can we go back some and see where this all started? How did this come to be?
Yeah, or can I look myself?
Yeah.
And they always say, researchers or translators came up with this. And you just say, okay, well, let me find out who translated that.
Yeah.
Can I do it? Oh, no, somebody else is going to do it for you. No, why can't I do it, especially if it's true? Yes.
And it's always this vibe of okay, they know better because they're the professionals. And I'm just going to link this to even something simple like coming up with a new idea about something. Say, for example, in nursing, we do something a certain way simply because that's how we were taught to do something. Right. But it takes another person to think outside of the box, well, why don't we do it this way instead? Because this way is more effective. This way is more, is easier. It provides better results for the patient. It takes somebody to think outside of the normal programming and the normal, whenever you get indoctrinated on something, and we are all indoctrinated all around, as humans, you know what I mean? Not just coming out of religion, but just in general, going to school. Being born in this world. Yeah, being born in the world, really. And so it takes somebody who thinks outside of the box to change the reality of most people.
Yep, that's facts. Mm-hmm. All right, now we have number 4, personal and subjective truths. Subjective truth, based on personal experience or belief. You have chocolate is the best ice cream flavor. Then you have emotional truth, feelings that are true for an individual.
Yes.
And people don't take that into consideration, not just religion in general.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go with the religion thing. People will say God is good all the time God is good. If you grew up in the church or something like that. But then you have somebody else who done been through terrible stuff in their whole life and been praying.
Yeah.
And they're like, shoot, God ain't good to me.
Yeah.
You can't say that. Why can't they?
Uh-huh.
They can say with an honest point of view that I haven't been getting these blessings that you say is in this book.
Yes.
And you are not allowed to tell other people just because you grew up a certain way and were told not to question the God, that they can't think that way or have that point of view.
Yes. And it's so interesting because like our channel is called Awaken Truths, right?
Yeah.
And this whole idea for me even came later after we like started our channel and things. But like truth is honestly so subjective and so up to your own perception of reality. Yeah. Even whenever it comes to like say a disagreement with somebody, like if you say something a certain way, you could be meaning it where it's like, oh, your hair looks different today. Mm-hmm. Now, one person can ask like, oh, what do you mean by that? You know what I mean? Or they can immediately take it offensively when you meant it a totally different way, but it's your perception of what is happening in your reality.
Right.
And that comes with so many nuances. Mm-hmm. Like your whole belief system on what you believe to be rude or disrespectful that another person will not interpret that way. Yeah. Like if you go to a different country, you know how some people, they won't look you in the eye. Like it's disrespectful to look you in the eye. Then you come over here, it's disrespectful to not look somebody in the eye. Yeah. But you see how everything is so nuanced.
And it's what you grew up around or how you've been, I guess, groomed in your, I was going to say not religion, but your culture.
Yeah. 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 It's totally, you can't tell somebody like if they say, I'm unhappy because of this or I'm feeling sad because of this, you can't tell them, oh, you're not sad because you're not living in that person's body. You know, like you don't know how they feel. That's the nerve of you. Yeah.
And now we are on to number 5, moral and ethical truths. Moral truth, principles about right and wrong. Stealing is wrong. Cultural truth, truths that are accepted within a society, customs and traditions. I like the first one, moral truth. So principles are about right and wrong. Yeah. Stealing is wrong. Yeah. Me and my dude at work was talking about this. He was like, you know, they still got pirates. Yeah. And I was taught that too. And it wasn't until last year that I learned that we call pirates what other countries call coast guards. Right? And so crazy. I remember me and my sister went down that rabbit hole. We got to talking about that. So we were told, well, U.S. boats have to be aware of these pirates that come and steal from them. Right. And it's justified to hurt these so-called pirates. Right. Until I start learning history, and it's reverse. American boats, or I should say European boats, would travel around different coasts, and they would throw things and pollute the ocean. Yeah. The people who were local on those coast and islands, they would lose fish. So the fishermen, all the fish are dead. They can't work. Then the people that live there, they can't eat because the water is polluted. Right. So what those pirates that they call coast guards start doing, when these people would come along their area that they had no business being on, they would rob them and extort them. So they're like, basically, if you are going to do this to our fish and cause us money and cause us to be hungry, y'all gonna pay for it. Yeah. So see how that changes just from, man, over here we thinking these people stealing is wrong, and once you know the background, it's like, no, that's justified. Yeah. You ain't got no business coming over here polluting what we have. We taking what you got. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Even when you think about, okay, let's just go into the politics real quick, okay? Like think about our current like political climate of what's going on, even with like the Mexican borders, with here in the United States, and so many people believe, oh yeah, this should be called the Gulf of America because whatever. Meanwhile, you have these people, like the United States was built on stolen land, but none of us think to question like, that's wrong that we literally pushed all of these people out and pushed their border all the way down there. Because back in the day, Mexico was huge. Yeah. It wasn't just
Mexico, you know what I mean? It was Mexico, it was Texas, it was Arizona, it was parts of California. They had all of this land, and basically they came in and bullied them down. They took all these war personnel, and first they asked for the land, and Mexico was like, no, like, we're gonna stay here. And then they just pushed them all the way back.
And that's not just moving them, but they exterminated people.
Yeah.
Everybody that was there, and people don't even think of this. Los Angeles, San Diego. What does that sound like? Goose Troop?
They're all
How does that sound
names.
like? That doesn't sound like anything from England. But people are so brainwashed, they will justify this is our country.
This is our land.
This ain't yours, bro. How did your ancestors get here? Was it legally? Oh well, and then that's where all of a sudden they start to malfunction. Your people didn't come here illegally, so that makes you an illegal immigrant then.
As well.
Correct?
Everywhere, all just all of these terms are just so stupid because we're just humans on this freaking land, and yet we have created all of these borders, imaginary
invisible
borders.
lines.
Like, it's just so ridiculous. Don't even get me onto the rabbit hole, but that's how I feel about that. So things that are viewed as right and wrong, sometimes they're completely justified. And that's why people go back and forth on even criminals, like say a dad protecting their child and kills somebody who was assaulting their child or beats them. You know what I mean? A lot of people will justify, well, that's understandable. You know what I mean? And other people will say, no, that's absolutely wrong. So again, this is a whole other thing where it's up to interpretation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Stealing from other people. If you're in survival mode and haven't eaten in 40 days and you decide to steal this loaf of bread in the grocery store, is that really wrong, or was that survival?
Yeah, it's like Robin Hood. You rob from the rich is viewed a little different.
Yeah. Now this one's interesting because it's very much right on topic, and it's religious and spiritual truths. So that breaks down into revealed truths, which are truth based on religious texts or divine revelation, and mystical truths, which are truth that comes from personal spiritual experience. And this is why I always say I'm more spiritual, because a book of what you should and should not do is not always going to be applicable for everybody. And this is also why I consider myself to be an omnist, because there is literally truths for me in all religions. You know what I mean? I can take things from the Bible and I'm like, yeah, absolutely, that's true. That's something that will better my life. I could take something from the Quran or from atheist principles, where atheists are like, no, like, you need to take accountability for what it is that you do in your life and not rely on some, mystical creature. I could get down with that too, because yes, that's going to make my life better as well, you know, with Muslims and being like covered up and why it's a good thing to be covered up. I understand, like, it's about understanding a lot of the time.
That's all it really comes down to.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, the last one is historical and relative truths. So historical truths are facts based about the past, and sometimes debated based on perspective and evidence, and relative truths, truth that depends on context, perspective, or culture.
Ooh, I like that one. Jehovah's Witnesses in a nutshell, because remember we were taught everything in the Bible back then were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
And then it was a gap for years, thousands of years.
Right.
And all of a sudden, God selected Charles Russell as the new man to follow up with the Bible of Jehovah's people to re-spark this.
Yeah.
And there's truth to them.
Yeah.
But in reality, these historical events is all cat.
Well, we don't know. That's the whole point, is you don't know.
I would say this. We can say for a fact that this right here, this man was not selected.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I mean, in different historical truths. Like, for example, I like to bring this one up, but like, the way that we were taught about pilgrims and Indians.
In school, drawing pictures and stuff, like they was eating dinner together.
Drawing pictures, having Thanksgiving, all of us dressing up. Like, I remember clearly dressing up in like 4th grade. Half of us were pilgrims, half of us were Indians. And we were like, I don't know, reenacting different things from that day, like Thanksgiving, and drawing turkeys. And it looked like, oh, wow, like they just got along, they made this treaty, and that is not how it went. It
was an unaliving spree, and they don't teach you that in school. But
unaliving, graping.
All of that. And then you got to think of this. It's a Columbus Day. The same sick people that did this made it a holiday.
No, let's take it even further back. Think about Mount Rushmore. That used to be a mountain that was just, it looked like four faces. And they named it after like Native American leaders. It was whatever. Think about how sick it is to literally engrave the forefathers of this country.
The slave masters.
And put them on that mountain. Engrave it to make it look different. And now it's just there.
All the statues, they blew the noses off of cannons so you can't tell who it was to make it a new truth.
Yeah.
Like it.
That's so
It's a whole sick rabbit hole of what people consider truth and not truth.
Yes.
Even like you will drive past a lake and just think it's a lake. You don't know it's a whole city up under there that got burnt down.
Lake Lanier.
Lake Lanier. All of these different places all around the country were something else. But now the new truth, oh no, that's just land. No, bro, it was people living there at one point.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And this is what made us question everything about everything it is that we have learned, because so much just started to get exposed once we were like, oh, we're allowed to look other things up, you know?
Right.
And it also sent us on our like rabbit hole, even with religion. Like, how did religion even come to be? And it's so sad to say this, but whenever you look back, like religion was forced upon the people, you know, especially here in the Western world, where people like think back to even the Native Americans, whoever was here before, they are very much involved with like the earth, you know what I mean? Like gods of the earth, and these mystical experiences is how people, you know, strike it up to be. And even how they have changed the words magic and like the dogma that is around magic, black magic, white magic, whatever the case is, it's like all of that is demons.
And you don't think the question, and that's what stops you from reaching your higher consciousness, because when you hear it, it's like, oh, that's scary. I'm not looking at that at all.
Yeah.
And it's the ones who are brave enough to say, let me look at this and compare it, especially if this is truth and this is false. Well, shoot, this a whole weight.
Right.
And once you start to look at it, you realize, wait a minute. So what's the benefit of you telling me not to look at this?
What is the benefit? Like, what's in it for you?
Yeah, to tell me to not look at this. And once you, wait a minute, what you giving me ain't working, and this worked for people.
Yep.
I'm about to look at this.
Facts. Even how they did like during slave times, like the way that the world is separated is literally just poverty and rich. Like that's how it's separated. But they were able to take everybody and conform them to think like, okay, because you have a different skin color, you're better than that guy over there, because that guy over there is brown and you're white, so you're better than him. So just, you know, work on yourself. And then that feeds the ego, you know, to make you all fight each other. You know what I mean? When it comes to like racism and things like that, instead of looking at the bigger picture that all of these people that are in power, they want to stay in power. So they have to make you all fight each other. And
that was the danger in the Black Panthers, because it wasn't just a black thing, it was an oppressed thing. And that's the message that Fred Hampton was pushing. And the government is like, wait a minute, you went to a Klan rally and told everybody our kids go to the same school, we all poor. And people go, dang, you right. Oh, we need to get together. And saying who else is being oppressed? And you got different colors of people coming together. They had to get rid of that ASAP.
You have to.
Yeah.
A free mind is the biggest threat to every single one of these establishments. And that comes down to everything and anything. When you look at the politics, when you look at racism, when you look at religion, all of these powers that be that keep us in this box, you know, and keep us judgmental of everybody around us, that's what keeps the human race so divided.
And that's the challenge of life, I call it, because life ain't supposed to be smooth. And that's what makes certain people stand out and inspire others, because you go, dang, that person right there is special. They not like what we are used to. Like that's what makes somebody a leader. This person is courageous and they don't think like the normal. And that inspires people for generations.
And really, it's in everybody. It's in us all, you know? It's just something that like that gets awakened within you, where it's like you can look around and you're like, this is not right.
And if it's meant for you, because some people are meant to live their whole life just blind.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay, because that's just what the journey for them looks like. And I think that even goes back to us. People want us all the time. Like, we're cool with going to the protests and stuff like that, but I'm not gonna go and try to wake everybody up, because it's not meant for them. No,
that's not my thing either.
Yeah, it's not always meant for them. For them, it might be their best selves to be indoctrinated within this religion, and they may not see it as indoctrination. They might feel free within that religion,
and that's on them.
Yeah, and we're all different, so the constraints feel different for everybody.
That's true. I have a lot of people who reach out and go, you need to do a debate with Christians, or for what? Well, I don't do. You got other people that debate, but my thing is, if I'm saying 2 + 2 is 4, and you saying it's 17, and I'm asking you to explain, and you just say you got to believe it, bro, you got it.
Yeah.
I ain't about to sit here for an hour and go back and forth. Yeah. You can have that.
I think I remember saying something like that to somebody. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I said it's not so much about how you get to the number, right? It's like almost in nursing school. Anybody who's been to nursing school, like in the test, they will ask you a question and say which one of these things are right. And all of them are correct, but you have to pick the answer that is the most right, okay? Right. According to them. And so it's more like, okay, A, 2 + 2 = 4, B, 2 + 1 = 3, C, 7 + 7 = 14. Pick the one that's right. They're all just different paths. Or even something as simple as like 3 + 3 = 6, and then you do 18 divided by 3, that also equals 6. And imagine the question being, which one of these equals 6?
Yeah.
You know, it's just different paths, but they're right according to you.
Do what works for you. Now back to the article. So we'll go down to, how can you find the truth? God does not want us to accept the truth from the Bible blindly. Instead, he invites us to examine it by using our power of reason rather than by relying on our emotions. He wants us to come to know and love him using our whole mind, and he encourages us to confirm the truth of what we learn from the Bible. So this is what I find interesting about this stuff. And it's taboo to say. Humans will tell you that God told you this, but I asked, why couldn't God tell me himself that I have to read this book? And why? And this is the thing, when I say, people try to say you have to believe in the Bible, you have to accept it, and I ask why, and they say you have to believe the Bible because the Bible says you have to believe the Bible. That's no different than saying this person is a thief, and I'm gonna ask this person, are you a thief? Maybe I should ask the people around them, does this person steal? Just like Christianity or religion. If it's 4,000 different religions, I shouldn't just have to look at one and say, okay, well, this one say I got to believe in this, so I'm going to believe it.
Yeah.
I should be able to look at all of them and then pick from there. So it's unfair, and they will tell you as Jehovah's Witnesses, oh, we accept all people. But nowhere when I was a Jehovah's Witness did I learn anything about other religions. We never did in-depth studies on nothing else except for them.
Yes.
How is that a fair way, especially if I'm studying to become a Jehovah's Witness?
Yes.
I should be able to look at everything first. If this is a food tasting contest and there's 5 different apple pies, why am I only allowed to eat one and say this the best I'm voting for? Right. I should be able to eat them all and then pick. That's bogus.
No, that is such a good point. And they argue like, oh, there's the book that explains, that Watchtower came up with that explains different religions and things. But you have to understand that's also biased because none of them have actually truly experienced that religion. It's not like they pick somebody out of that religion to write about their own religion. Even when you think about Jehovah's Witnesses, many of us have had different experiences within our religion.
Right.
So one truth at this Kingdom Hall is a different truth at another Kingdom Hall. Like, I remember we said on TikTok, like, yeah, you're not allowed to have locks, as a man, definitely weren't allowed to have locks. And then there was people in the comments like, oh, I have locks and blah, blah, blah. And usually it was a woman. But even with that, there was other congregations where even if you were a woman, you couldn't have locks.
Exactly.
So look at all of the nuances. And that's within just one religion. So you can imagine spread across the rest of these religions, what may be true about this denomination of that religion, it's for them, but it could be totally different within that umbrella of the religion.
Yeah, for real. Here in the next one. Where did lying come from? The Bible says the lying started with God's enemy, Satan the devil, whom the Bible calls the father of the lie. He lied about God to the first humans. Since then, Satan has continued to spread lies and hide the truth about God. Well, in the Bible, it also says that God created what? Good and evil. So if you rewind to, and I'm not a religious person at all, but I'll go with the logic of religion.
Mm-hmm.
If God created all things out of nothing, just straight darkness, that means there was no such thing as an evil. What is no such thing here as evil until God made that a thing. And so, if this all-knowing God created this angel, he didn't know this angel was going to betray him. You can say he has free will. This is free will. I got an empty room. I have a knife in there. I have a gun in there. And I just have pieces of paper. And somebody goes, I'm about to use that gun. Who put the gun in there?
Where did it come
the
from?
gun didn't have to be in the room at all.
Yeah.
But I put it there. And I gave somebody the option to use something that's going to be detrimental.
Yes.
So the root of the lies and the evil came from the Bible saying God created good and evil.
And also, maybe all of this stuff just already existed, right?
You gotta have balance.
You can't necessarily, what if he didn't create good or evil? It just was. What I think back to is back to the story of Adam and Eve. Like, what do people consider a lie to be? Because some people consider a lie to be just a flat out lie, like you saying something. Other people consider a lie to be withholding the truth or withholding information, right? So if you think about them not being able to eat from the knowledge of good and evil, that's withholding information. So is Satan really the father of the lie, or did he just come around and say, hey, if you eat out of this tree, you'll have the knowledge to make your own decision?
And you got to think about it like this. If everything was peaceful and perfect, there's no such thing as evil.
Yeah.
How would I know what evil is?
Yeah. And how did they know what evil was? They didn't. If they didn't have the knowledge of it, you know?
Yep. So if they listened to this so-called Satan, they got to understand what evil was.
No, literally. This literally makes me think about, like, what was that play that I just watched? With the Green Witch. What is it called?
Wicked or something?
Yeah, Wicked. It makes me think about that story because she's painted to be this wicked witch of the West when really she was just trying to expose the truth about the king. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's a fraud. He actually doesn't know how to do magic. I'm the only one who was able to open up this book. He's a fraud. And that's what created her evil villain story. And when you think about all, like, the superhero movies with the evil villain, like, I've been questioning myself because I'm like, why do I agree?
Yeah, I feel like if we're supposed to believe in this religion, I want both books. I want God's point of view and I want the devil's point of view, and let me read both. And I want to understand his side of the story, unless it's the same person,
right,
or the same deity. Because when you take a thermostat, hot and cold is the same thing, just on opposite ends. It's the same thing. Lightness and darkness. It's all the same thing. Good and evil. It just depends.
It's literally on a spectrum.
Yeah, so that's all life is. You can call everything. It's just a title being put on positive and negative.
Yeah.
That's it.
Two sides of the same coin.
Yep.
All right, y'all. We're at the end. Why is lying so common today? In our time, which the Bible calls the last days, Satan's misleading influence on the world has grown. People commonly tell lies to mislead others and take advantage of them. Falsehood also permeates most religious... We were just talking about this. Falsehood also permeates most religions today. As the Bible foretold for our time, people surround themselves with teachers to have their ears tickled, choosing to turn away from listening to the truth.
That ain't the pot calling the kettle black.
I'm telling you, like, what are you talking about?
That is the organization in a nutshell, lying to people, tickling their ears. How long have people been hearing, all right, just around the corner. Oh, we in the last days. Oh, this generation will be the last. That people got old waiting on this stuff.
Yeah. Even thinking of the promise of paradise, they don't know, like, these leaders don't know for sure if paradise will be a thing.
They know they made this stuff up because they got to keep stretching on why it ain't here yet.
Yeah, and then it's just so funny seeing that they say falsehood also permeates most religions today.
You don't say.
Okay.
Man, the Jehovah's Witnesses is full of lies. And it's just funny looking at it from this point of view and seeing like, dang, they are doing exactly what they saying everybody else is doing. Yeah. They all in the same boat.
And honestly, that's like everybody. That's like all humans. Like, we're all just a bunch of hypocrites. And that's how I feel. Yep. And that's also why I believe that truth doesn't truly exist.
Truth is only truth until you learn more.
Yeah.
Because what you say is truth today, you may learn other things to go, wait a minute. This cancels out what I believed before, but I 100% believed in that and it made sense yesterday.
Right. And also with that being said, I think there's nothing wrong with following a set of moral beliefs. Like, whatever it is, if you're aspiring to be a certain kind of person, then you would live within those limits. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, having something to follow.
That's it. Just continue to polish up on what you believe in. If you believe in being a good person and you're doing that and you go, well, dang, I'm being taken advantage of. I'm still going to be a good person, but I have to set boundaries with being a good person.
Yeah, or change the way that you do it.
Yeah, that's all it just comes down to. So your truth is your truth. And remember, that's for you. And you can't tell other people what they can and cannot believe. You can just encourage people, man, just continue to learn things, too. That's what we do. Yeah. But what we do know, Jehovah's Witnesses ain't the truth. We tried
For us.
Yeah. But let us know what y'all think in the comments on this one. Hit us on our Instagram at Awaken Truths IG. Don't forget our TikTok. That's at Awaken Truths LLC. What else we got?
We have our healing journals. We have the normal edition and the Pimo edition. And don't forget to catch us in the next one. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Peace.